Holy crap. Afternoon. No, wait. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the upper room. I see we got a full house today. Holy crap. How's it? My name is Pete Sswagga. You might have seen me in the comments every once in a while. Or you can call me Kimmy Jimmel tonight. So today, I've got a panel of some of my good buddies online. We're gonna chop it up. We're gonna talk about a few things, maybe maybe a few topics from you guys. So I do believe that some voortsekkers are here. Welcome everyone. How's it? Welcome to the upper room. I hope you enjoy your stay. Feel free to give your feedback in the comments. But yeah, without further ado, how about I just welcome our guests? Hey, how about this? Let me do this. As is tradition. I'm gonna do this. My guests deserve a proper welcome. Here we go. All right, here we go. Let's do this.
Let me check my Palm Pilots. Look like I ain't doing shit.
That was cheesy, gentlemen. How's it, guys? Welcome.
I like cheesy, man. I like cheesy. Hey.
Okay, all right. Okay, so yeah. Welcome. Yeah, good, man. Matty, welcome. I think you and I had a pretty good discussion last time we were here talking about stuff. There's a few updates that we've got. We're going to talk about them now. But two relatively new faces, Joey, Milo, welcome.
Oh, at 58 years old, I like being called a new face, my brother. This is why I love you. New face at 58 years old.
I try to represent my peoples. And you, Milo, what's happening, my man?
Man, everything is okay.
Okay.
I'm having some really agitated days, but
overall pretty smooth. Overall, a few blips here and there.
Agitated days, those are what make the good days worth it, right? You have the agitated days, and then you see the good, and you're like, hey, I could have been back there in the agitation, but it's not there now.
It gives you contrast. There's a bit of contrast.
Yeah, look at the contrast you and I have going on right now. You and I have some pretty good contrast.
See that?
Just pointing out the obvious.
I think
I don't know how I'm seen on your end. I don't know if I'm up top of. I don't know if I'm on top of Matty or Matty's the bottom, or I don't know if I don't know.
I don't know if Matty wants to address that. There was a subliminal in there.
Matty, you know I got to. I got to, man.
Well, Joey is on top of me because he is quick on his way out. So obviously, I'm in line to dominate. And I'm going to be the only one who will ever dominate. So
I see. You know, look. Pardon me, Matty. I'm going to turn on the comments there a little bit, just so we get a bit of a welcome to the people in the chat over here. I see all the old regulars are here. I know you've seen them before. Hey, we got Renee. How's it? Hey, we got Dylan,
Dylan, my man.
There you go. He's here, and Charmaine, you sent me something on Discord. We're gonna look at it now. I found a video of the guy. You said state versus Rome going on in the US, right? First time I'm hearing about it. We'll talk about it. Matt, I don't know if you know anything about that, but we'll chat. We'll chat about that. So yeah, guys, gentlemen, I try not to sort of over-engineer any of the upper room shows, but I do think a smidgen of structure is or a smidgen of substance is important. Let me turn the comments off there, Matty. I'm feeling bad. So a little bit of substance is important. So, but first, I don't know, gentlemen, if you watched the show last week, Joey, Milo, we covered what we call a nuisance streamers. These IRL streamers, these kids go out into the general public, broadcasting and basically being a nuisance in public for content, right? And so we spoke last time talking about this kid called Johnny Somali, who got caught up. You guys familiar with that? Johnny Somali, he got caught up in South Korea. He got sentenced last Friday, right? And he got sentenced. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sorry, Peter. I was sentenced on Thursday, and I think he has started serving his sentence now. And now I think they have officially announced that they are looking to extend, appeal his sentencing to make it harsher. Extend
Right.
his
I've got,
sentence.
I've got actually on that, I got a clip of a expert lawyer just for an update from last week. Those who were paying attention. Let me see if I can get this right. So I'm glad you guys know who Johnny Somali is. We don't have to go to that update again. So let's see. Is that good? That looks good. That looks good. So let me play this. So I'm going to skip a whole bunch of things, but let's see what this lawyer has to say about an update on this kid's case.
Detention center for a week in case.
And
see a bunch
last
of
week I
trees that
mentioned,
are photoshopped.
and Joey Milo, maybe it's a topic maybe we can start off with. In South Korea, the process, the criminal justice process seems to be the punishment, right? So it's not the jail time that's a punishment. And I think there's an example of that happening here with this Johnny Somali guy.
In to hide it, but on Google Map you can find it.
Let me just go back here quickly. I think it's at the 2-minute mark. Just let me know if you can hear what that says. Okay, no, don't freaking ISCOM
An
me.
attorney to do this?
So what happens is, as soon as you're detained, they detain you for a week in a detention center. There are several in Seoul, and there are rumors, unconfirmed rumors, that he is at a place called Seoul Nambu Detention Center. And if you look on Kakao Map or Naver Map, you'll just see a bunch of trees that are photoshopped in to hide it. But on Google Map, you can find it. Seoul Nambu Detention Center. And so they keep you in this detention center for a week in case, because they want to see if there's going to be an appeal. You have a week to appeal. Right. And if there is an appeal, they keep you there for the entire appeal. And the detention centers are worse than prison, and they're worse than labor with prison with labor even. So he done played himself again.
Okay, wait. So so he's not even doing his actual prison time. He's just subtracting his detention time. This
time in the detention center is going to count towards his prison time, but it's going to be worse and more boring and more physically grueling and more unpleasant than prison itself. It's sort of this purgatory, on your way to prison, and getting stuck there is one of the worst things that can happen. But he stuck himself there anyway. The prosecutor did appeal, so he would have stayed there anyway. And this is going to go on.
Okay.
If it goes according.
So I think we get the point there, gentlemen. So just for like interest sake, at least for me, living in South Africa, the criminal justice process is by default almost quite torturous, because you often don't get results. And it's also quite interesting listening to what happens in terms of the criminal justice system in a society like South Korea. Have you guys ever had any take on having a criminal justice system that is punishment in itself? I don't even know if that's a legit question to ask. Yeah,
I wouldn't even know how to answer that, to be honest with you. I'm totally unfamiliar with the South Korean criminal justice. I am quite familiar with the American criminal justice. They're not so nice. They're not so nice. But I'm kind of stuck on his purgatory statement. I'm thinking we need to make some sort of judgment, man. Purgatory, if it's worse than heaven and hell and on criminal and justice and jail and freedom, purgatory does not sound like a good place to be. This is what I'm taking off of this. I honestly can't talk about the criminal activities over there. I'm just completely unfamiliar with it. Matty looks like he might have spent some time over there. Matty, you got something to say about that?
I like it. I think the reason why I say that is because if Somali guy actually wins his case, and his sentencing is reduced, and at least he's been through a tougher a sentence, or jail sentence. So he's been through tougher conditions in comparison to what he would have gone if he just went straight to sentencing and serves that out. So it's important because of what he did.
Right.
You don't give a statue of a World War II a World War II statue of a mum that was killed or raped or whatever, a lap dance in public. You just don't do that. That's just
That's
wrong.
awful. That's just awful.
Yeah. So for me,
What was his prison sentence going to be, though? If he had a choice of prison sentence, is what you're saying? He could have taken the prison sentence, and he chose to fight it, and this is why he's stuck. Is this what's happening?
Yeah. So he was sentenced, right?
Right.
He was sentenced for 6 months, but he
Yeah,
chose to
yes.
appeal, right? Right.
Yeah. The state, I think, is gonna appeal. The state wanted 3 years. They only gave him 6 months, and so it looks like they're going to appeal his sentencing, so that he gets a higher sentence, a larger sentence. Because the state feels that 6 months is way too short given the crimes that he
Right.
committed.
If he had, could he have the choice at one time to commit to that 6 months and take that 6 months where they didn't have a choice, or where they couldn't have done that? I mean, this is what I'm failing to understand. Did when Pete said he actually chose this for himself? So I'm wondering, what did he have? Could he have taken that 6 months sentence right from the jump street, and then the prosecutor or the state couldn't have taken him back or something? Or I mean, he did this to himself.
From what I understand, when he chose to appeal, that was to fight the sentence. And
Right.
so this has opened him up to the possibility of that being extended.
Now being extended, but he could have
If
taken
he
that
didn't
6.
appeal,
He could have
taken
taken the
6
6
months.
months originally, is what you're saying,
Yeah,
right?
but also there's another element to this. In South Korea, even after a criminal has been sentenced, the guy mentioned the 7 days. A victim can appeal to the prosecutor to extend the sentence. So that's an option they have there. That's kind of also what happened to him. If I get that right there, Matty.
The state is appealing this time around. So the state is appealing to extend his sentence. I think Somali also had the. I'm not sure if Somali had the option to appeal his sentence. I think he only had the ability to fight the courts to declare him guilty or not, and to fight for leeway. I think that's the only ability that he had in this specific case.
That's kind of wonky right there, that a prosecutor, after the judge puts down a sentence, the prosecutor can say, I don't like that. I mean, I thought they all worked on the same side, prosecutor, judge, all being on the state side. I mean, that's kind of wonky. Yeah, the judge says something, and then the state goes, no, I don't like that, judge.
That's kind of interesting. I don't know if something like that would work in South Africa.
Especially what we have in South Africa. It's different from like the US, where the majority of the time I think it's 12 of your your peers that judge you, and that determine if you're guilty or not, unless it's directly a judge that makes that decision, and then from there on, then in the states, then I think that the state the prosecutor can then appeal. So I think this is more I would say in between China, which is completely you don't have the ability to appeal, and and the US, depending on what happens there. So I think this is good. I'm hoping personally for this case that Johnny's case, Johnny's sentencing gets increased.
Yeah,
at least a year, if not 3 years.
Yeah, 6 months is way too little for the kind of shenanigans he was going on about. and some of it involved like kids.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Not only that, he praised Kim Jong Un and trash talked the current South Korean government and the judge working on his case as well. So
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
He praised the Kim Jong Un. He praised him.
Yeah.
yeah, in South Korea, dude. So yeah, listen. The reason, maybe Milo, Joey, the reason I kind of originally started speaking about this individual specifically because we also spoke about another guy called Vitali. You guys know Vitali, also another nuisance streamer, got caught up for a year in the Philippines. It's like I was curious about what compels an individual to do that and capture it in 4K on camera and broadcast. And I think we came to the conclusion that there was an internal lack of, I don't know, self-decency, integrity, all of that happening within an individual. What would you say would compel someone to do
It's not just the person. You have to take into consideration the fact that both of them, Johnny and Vitaly as well, they have a huge following, right? So everything they did, all the disrespect they showed towards the Philippines and South Korea, it was to please their audience, basically.
Yeah.
And there are lines. There are lines on creating content. Absolutely.
Exactly. So people follow them for their ignorance, I would say. So in my opinion, I believe that Vitaly and Johnny, they got off very, very easily. And I'm saying that because if you follow Vitaly, right now he's again having problems by
right.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you see here I bring the zoom lens out a little bit. Okay, you're looking at two specific guys who are making content and doing disrespectful and wrong things for that, right? But they're doing that for a reason. Why are they doing that? Because they're getting the likes, they're getting the shares, they're getting the the bigger problem is not really that you have two disrespectful guys. The bigger problem is with how and why and what is being promoted to people out there, and it's actually the society who's creating the guys like this. And that does that not have something to do with the rules, the regulations of all of that we're playing in? I mean, I'm zooming out here. I'm zooming out because
it's like an egg.
Yeah.
Would you say that's like
a bigger problem?
Egg and chicken.
Yeah, like an egg and a chicken. You have two guys doing the bullshit, but who's egging those people on to use the pun? Who's making those two guys do that? Right. You know, I mean, they're not just doing it because they think they're cool. No, they're doing it because they're getting clicks, because they're making money probably from it.
Yeah, they're making tons of money. Both of them, they're making a living off of those videos.
So then the question is, my saying, what I'm trying to get to is, my real question is, where's the real problem here? Is it the two guys that are just assholes, or is it? I mean, or is it another problem that needs to be solved?
Issue that allows for the emerging of such imbeciles.
Yeah. Well, this is how I see it.
Yeah, basically, you've got the person that's an asshole. You've got the people fueling his activities, right? And you have the platforms that give them this opportunity to do it and not banning them for being disrespectful.
But then you start getting into the freedom of speeches. You start getting into the freedom of content. You start getting into the freedom. I understand that it's like a slippery slope here.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand. I'm not trying to defend Vitaly or this other dude. I'm not trying to defend them at all. They deserve everything they get and then some, right? Okay, they're wrong. But at the same time, don't feel too bad for them. You shouldn't even devote your time to them. You shouldn't even devote your time to them, because this is what brings their name out. This is part of the thing.
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's my thing on them. I think they got off very, very easily, both of them.
Yeah, very, very easily. You're right. So I guess we all agree that it's something that kind of just really needs to be disincentivized. We can't be paying $20 for people online to go harass innocent
Yep.
people. That's literally what was happening.
Well,
Oh, yeah, I
now,
get-
harassing innocent people is kind of fun, though, Pete. Harassing you're saying something different here. Harassing innocent people is kind of a fun
There's a
thing.
gray area there.
Yeah, there is a very fun. There's a gray area there. There really
Well,
is.
Well, let's be nice. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we 20 minutes in. Okay, cause sweet. I wanted to move on to something else, gentlemen. There's a recent individual that has emerged over the past couple of years online by the name of Andrew Wilson. Okay, Matt, I would like to ask you what your opinion is. Yeah, so Andrew Wilson, he's branded as a sort of Christian nationalist. He says he's not. Fair enough. He can defend himself. Not that he needs to, but he recently, I went on a podcast called the Trigonometry Podcast. A lot of clips have gone viral, and it's in this podcast where he almost defines one of his guiding principles. I think you can explain. I'm gonna play him explaining one of his philosophies. I want to gauge from you what you guys think about this, right? So let me play it, and we'll discuss it afterwards. It's to do with what he calls his force doctrine, right? I know Mork from the Mork Rock Show kind of often speaks about this. He alludes to it, but I don't think we've ever gone through Andrew actually explaining what he means by sort of force doctrine. So let's have a look at it, see what you guys think. Let's see. Let me lace it up here. Are you guys familiar with Andrew Wilson?
I will be by the time you're done talking about it, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm asking Matt, because Matt had some he alluded to have some opinions. So what do you think about Andrew Wilson?
Andrew Wilson, okay, I like, and I understand where he's coming from. He is trying to show there's another way how to live, how to correct others when they're doing something that's not morally, ethically right, and you can actually see it from where you are. Where it's obvious that if you sleep with 1,000 people, you're gonna screw up your life. So that kind of thing. I personally, in my personal opinion, this guy, I think he's a great debater, but I do think he struggles to accept criticism, and he does struggle with pride, in my opinion.
Yeah. Would you say? Would you also say that he's a master debater?
Yes.
All right, there you go. Boom.
What does he debate? What does this guy debate? Everything, anything, everything, or is he on a one genre kind of thing? One thing that he debates? I mean, is he just somebody who likes to argue with people?
Kind of, I would say he's a blood sport debater. But let me play a clip, and then I think you might get a sense of who he is and whatnot if you're not familiar. But he does say something here that I would like to have us discuss. It's to do with, let me lace it up, put you guys up on top. It's to do with how the internet broke politics. I'm not going to play the whole thing.
Love, sex, politics. And of course, that's what everybody's talking about all the time now. But with the internet, this was bound to happen. Now you can have ideologies which are exported and imported, and they can be exported and imported quickly. And so because of that, you can have, whole swaths of a population begin to move towards an ideology which they never would have before because there was no way to basically deliver it. But now there is. And so now it's a race for power. It's made the best ideology win. And from my view, if it's not Christians who win it, then it's going to be somebody else who wins it. And Christians going to be ruled by whoever that is, or whatever ideology that is. But if you think that I'm wrong, explain Hassan Piker, explain Vosh, explain the rise of communism in the United States and the brand new communist lens in which many leftist progressives are now looking. These are the most popular streamers. Well, I mean, that ideology was all but dead, but now it's reemergent through the technology of the internet and introduced to a whole new generation as being edgy and, countercultural, just like it was the first time.
Do you not think that?
Pause it right there.
All
What do you
right,
guys think?
Here's what I think with this guy, okay? He is a good debater, and I'll tell you why he's a good debater. Because I agree with what he says about the internet. He's 100% correct with the internet, okay? But what he's not putting into the equation, in my opinion, in that debate there, what he's not adding in there is the fact that, yes, while things are heading up, let me take the United States, for instance, because that's what he said, heading towards the communism, and that's what I'm most familiar about. The United States is heading for that authoritarianism and communism section. It really is. It's got all the playbooks. It's got all the benchmarks met pretty much. It's getting there. But here's what he's not putting in there is that there's a severe pushback. There's a severe pushback on it. And that is with the knowledge, because that's a two-way street that he's talking about with the internet. While it lets in a lot of the bull and it lets in a lot of the bad, it also lets in the good. It also lets in people's awareness. It also makes people understand things. So there's like a lot of pushback that's happening in the United States right now. The United States right now is in one of your people here said something about the Roman thing, the versus USA kind of thing, like the equivalency of the Roman Empire versus the American Empire kind of situation, I think is what she's trying to say. While you're heading that way, there are very big differences. And the communism thing, he's right with the internet. It's letting the everybody hear the nonsense, but they're also hearing the stuff that you need to know. It's a two-way street. This is why he's a good debater. He's putting both things out there, so no matter what you say, he's going to have a rebuttal to it, because both things are true at the same time. That's my opinion.
What are you guys? What's you guys thinking so far? Hey, Matt. Hello.
Yeah. I agree. On his point, specifically in this, with what he said at the moment, I think you also have to be careful, because he said that a Christian state is the best, but South Africa has seen what happens if you take something like a faith and rule with it. So that's why the US has the separation of church and state, to avoid this exact
supposedly
issue.
Separation, Matt. Supposed separation. It's not really separation. It's supposed to be, but it's not really. Just for correction. That's in our Constitution, but it's not the way it is, right? They even call themselves the Christian nationalists and the Christians this and the Christian that. It's even on our money. It's even in God we trust, right? So is there really a separation? Yeah, you got to be careful of that.
Well, I guess we can see it. Andrew Wilson, I think he's on the right track, but again, just like Joey said, there's good and bad, and with Andrew Wilson, in my opinion, I think if he can learn how to stop being so prideful and be able to take criticism, I think he'll be a good guy to follow. But also, not just like the rise of OnlyFans and the internet, you are starting to see a lot of the youth in the US starting to go to churches, especially the male youth. They are starting to go back to church. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the next few years are going to turn out in the US.
Don't knock OnlyFans, man. Don't knock OnlyFans, man. Don't knock it, man. Just trying to say, okay.
There's another part. Maybe let's see if he finishes his point here, because it's only early.
The reason that we have seen this resurgence of communism as someone who comes from a country who sadly embraced it.
Britain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's not. We are embracing.
My own joke, but it was.
So Andrew says
we are embracing it, which is Venezuela. Do you not just simply think that
Andrew,
people grasp?
Sorry, I'm going to
anything
stop
when...
it here quickly. Sorry about that, guys. Andreas Selzer. Welcome, Andreas. First time I'm seeing your name. Welcome. Thank you for coming through to the upper room. He says his wife Rachel Wilson wrote a book about the true history of feminism. I haven't read that book yet. I'd like to see it. I would like to read it. But you know, I'm too busy streaming with my good buddies over here. But I do believe that she also does a few debates. She's appeared on some podcasts and whatnot. She has a very interesting account of the history of feminism that I think I'm going to explore on this channel a little bit in this winter coming. That should be interesting. But I got to do my due diligence. So yeah, Andreas, I get you. Let's continue here. You guys keep tell me what you think in the comments, folks. Yeah, go ahead. You know, Shane. Let me do this. Continue playing there.
Things are getting particularly difficult.
You mean for any type of ideology?
Yeah.
Sure, but what's difficult here?
Well, the gap between rich and poor is ever widening.
But you have a problem there, right? That's true. But people are still getting richer than they've ever been. It's like when I think of a gap between rich people and poor people, if we go back 500 years or 1,000 years, the difference was you lived in a dung heap and this guy lived in a castle. Now the difference is this guy lives in a castle and you live in a 3-bedroom apartment. It's like, it is true that the guy.
Would you say that's an
oversimplification?
No, it's not an oversimplification. He's actually got it right, but at the same time, he's got it wrong. I mean, he's got it wrong. That's called evolution of technologies. That's called evolution of mankind. That's not about something being better or worse, or that our lives are any better. No, you can scale that way back. Because I did the zoom out thing before. You can zoom in close now to that and see the same thing. Talking about donkeys, that doesn't matter. Donkeys and castles at this point. That doesn't matter. You still are keeping that separation there. There's always them and us.
Yeah, even if you take in consideration the example, like he said, with the castle and it's the same difference in luxury between the king in the castle and the guy in the penthouse. And
except we call them billionaires now instead of kings. We call them billionaires. That's it. But it's the same shit, man.
Yeah, shifting the goalposts, basically. It's not really closing the gap. You're just changing the context of the gap.
Changing the context, exactly, Pete. He's just changing the words, and it sounds intelligent. It sounds good, but it's without any basis. It's the same shit.
Yeah. Fair enough. Like let's have him finish. Yeah, and by the way, Shane, you're right. Yeah, this guy is that voice, right? Yep, he sounds like a freaking dot matrix printer. Anyone over 40 knows.
The reason you're not in a dung heap is because the poor are also richer than they've ever been, and so it's scalable. It's a matter. It's a matter of scalability. But
on both sides.
In the fattest country in the world, where's all the starving people? Where are they?
But it's all understood within context, isn't it, Andrew? It's comparisons. So people will go online, they will look at their life, they will see that they don't have a lot of money, somebody else is doing very well. Things like, for instance, a housing crisis, particularly in cities like New York, LA, etc.
Yeah, so this is a strict materialist view. The thing is like, I don't know when this shift happened to strict materialism, but this seems to be part of a new conversation which people want to have. And again, that's part of what communism is. The lens of communism is strictly materialist. There is no spiritualism. Communists kill anybody who's religious because
there's another point.
Affects a materialist view. It's an oppressor-oppressed class. So if you're looking through everything from a materialist view, you can always find an oppressor class. There'll always be people who have more than other people do. It's one of the big faults with communism. You can never reach this stateless utopia.
That's nonsense. That isn't just communism. You can find that in communism, democracy. You can find that in all. You can find that kind of being in all. And if you're talking about something like that with the communism versus the inequalities and stuff like that, that's nonsense too. Because we can debate all day the differences about democracies, communisms, and authoritarianism. We can debate all day at the differences, right? But at the end of the day, all you're doing is taking one oppressor and throwing it on another oppressor. You're throwing it on another oppressor. That's all you're doing. Is one better than the other? No. It's.
But I think I think maybe the point he was trying to make in that last bit there was a lament against materialism, which is emergent from communism, because there's
which is emergent from capitalism, in my opinion.
Interesting.
I don't think it's from communism. I think he's changing the terminology here. I think capitalism is what creates materialism. You know, you want more money. You need more money. Why do you need more money? Why do you need to make more money? Why do you need $1 trillion? Why do you need $500 billion? Because you need the bigger yacht. You need to be able to buy companies. You need to be material things. It's capitalism that's creating it, not communism. They're different ideologies. He's conflating two things and putting it together as one.
Where does spirituality that he mentions fit into this the dichotomy there? Because not to defend his point, but I'm curious because he mentioned spirituality.
Milo, Matty,
what you guys think? Matt, Milo?
I don't know. I think there's a saying that there's always someone above you and there's always someone below you, unless you're dead. So I think he's right in a sense that we are living in a much better society than what we did 100 years. So for now, it's actually easier to actually get that perspective. If you look, let's say you are South African and you live in Sandton. All you have to do is go walk across the streets, the closest township. You see, yes, life is crap, but it's way better than how these people live, or it's how, or you're let's say you're sick, you get the flu. It's the year 2020. If you compare how you survive, will you survive better than a king in the 1800s? Yes, you will. There's antibiotics. So he has a point.
You can't compare that, though, Matty. You can't compare that with are you better than with your 18? If you went back to the 1800s, you could say, were you better than the 1700s? You were. Or are you better than the 1600s when you go to the 1700s? You are, of course. But are you truly? Because here's the situation. Both classes are moving, right? Both classes are moving up, so both classes are getting better, right? But the thing is that what's happening is the upper class is getting better 3 times faster or 10 times faster than the bottom classes. So yes, while we may not be on donkeys, yes, our lives may be better than the 17 or 1800s. We have moved up to 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. Yeah, yippee for us, from a manger to a fucking 2-bedroom apartment, right? Yeah, yippee for us. They've moved up from having a small little castle to owning fucking countries. I mean, the difference is we're moving up 1 step, 2 step. They're moving up 10 steps. So can you really, really compare the two, that we're living better than we did then? We're not. We're actually living worse if you scale it to that proportion. We're actually doing worse than what they were doing back in the 1700s.
I disagree, because we have the ability to catch up. If we invest and create things that adds value, that creates that ability to change the world, then you also have the ability and the chance to reach those standards. So not everyone's going to be able to create a Microsoft or a SpaceX or the next BMW.
Right, they're standouts. They're standouts. There are people who can advance us faster and quicker and have. Yes, you're right. You're right with that, but not whole classes of people, man. Not what we have 3,000 billionaires in the world and 7 billion people that are down underneath. I mean, is that right?
I'm talking about the ability to get there. I'm not saying that whole society. It's not. I'm not saying that the whole of China is going to become trillionaires and the rest of the world is going to become peasants if they win the AI race. I'm saying that maybe a community has that ability to work together and to advance their little space on the planet. And the same thing.
Would you say you're talking about upward mobility? Your the availability for you to actually become a billionaire versus there's absolutely no chance for you to even get out of that manger. So
Yeah, and what I'm saying, Pete, is that's not true. You always had that. From the 1500s to the 200s to the before crisis, you always had that opportunity. The opportunities have always been there. You could own the land, you could do your things, you could do the things, and you can make your moves because there's always those standouts. There's always those Elon Musk, the Bill Gates, the Steve Allens. There's always these people of the world that will make the difference, right? That we're never going to change that.
Right.
But for the rest of us, there's always that opportunity to start your own business, to climb the ladder, to do this, to do that. It has always been there. If you're smart enough and frugal enough, but my argument is that you have to be a dick. You have to hurt people to get to those points. You have to lie to people and not care about feelings. You can't, there's a reason that saying good guys finish last. It's because of this. A good guy is always going to be kept down. You have to be somebody of no low moral standards. That's my point. That's my point.
All right. I want to get into the comments real quick. I know Andrea said something here interesting that I want to sort of cover here. I think a true Christian monarchy is the best form of ruling. We're going to get to something like that. I know this is a shared viewpoint with Andrew over here. We'll get to that. In Europe, there are way many more good kings than bad kings. Most kings made sure that their kingdoms were fed and protected. Now, I've never lived under a kingdom, or anything like that. But he mentioned Europe. I think we got one European over here. What do you reckon about what he's saying over there?
Well, right there is a problem for me because I mean, just in that statement alone, most kings made sure that people were fed. Why can't the people feed themselves? Why is it up to a king to feed somebody else? Why do you not have the ability and the right to go feed yourself? So when you talk about life is better, we are in the same state as we are today as we were back then. How can you go feed yourself if they don't pay you a good wage? How can you go make food for your family if you're not able to move up the ladder? If you've got to give all your money in taxes, which brings us back down to what Charmaine was saying earlier, and you got to give this and you got to give that. How do you ever get ahead enough to be able to take care of yourself? Not worry about the king giving you food to make sure you fed.
Self-determination.
That's my point.
That's more of a thing. Okay, self-determination. Andreas, I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think a monarchies would work very well in this modern society we building for ourselves. I know you guys on your show, and by the way, I'm going to leave a link to Joey and Milo's show, guys. You should subscribe to their channel. You guys were talking about, it's not okay TV. I got a banner here for you guys. You guys were talking about how civilization looks like, 100 years, 200 years from now. I don't know if we as a civilization are going to be able to retain that whole monarchy vibe. Maybe we might pick one or two good things from it, but
we're not. And you know why we're not going to be able to, Pete? Because with this whole AI thing and robots and stuff coming up, right? What the rich don't realize, or maybe they do realize, and I don't see it. Maybe I'm the one who's not seeing it. When they're making all these robots and automation stuff happening right now, they are actually cutting their own feet off in a way because they can control human. They can control feelings and psychology. They cannot control, or to a point they can with their coding, right? With the AIs and stuff. But eventually, even that, they're going to lose control of. So it's I think they're just shooting themselves in the foot with this one.
It's the unintended consequences. I think this.
Yeah, the unintended consequence. Exactly.
Let's see what Chantal says here quickly. In medieval times, welcome Chantal, by the way. In medieval times, the folks who worked the land only worked about half the year for the feudal lord, right? Job. Kind of sounds like a job. The rest of the time was their own. Interesting.
And yet they still were fed because the kings made sure they were fed. Now we have to work all the time and struggle to be fed. So that right there is the contrast I'm trying to make that my words are not coming through to.
So basically, it's not about the system that you live in. It's about who runs the system, right? So you can have communism, right? If your leader takes care of everybody in the country and is fair with his people, it's gonna be excellent. If it's
like a benevolent,
if it's democracy, if everything happens the same and the leader takes care of his country and his people, everything is gonna be okay. So basically, it's not about how you call it; it's about who runs it and how they do it.
Yeah, the leader in charge,
the benevolent leader, the great leader.
Yes.
Chantal says something here again. A follow up. Sorry, Milo, about that. I don't know how to move these things here. The kings made you good. Okay, the kings made sure the economy of the country worked. The country was safe from invaders and people able to work and trade. Okay, well that's security first. The king hires an army. Ooh, but does that scale to the kind of planet-wide civilization level we have now? We have, how does the king control? I can understand it if it's like 20,000 people, small town, maybe shrink it down to 10,000. But civilization level, I don't know how they did it in the Middle Ages, but I'm glad they did. We're here now. So another one. Charmaine says every few centuries societies bottleneck into controlled chaos. That's how the elites keep control.
Agreed 100%. Agreed 100%. But I don't think they actually do it with intention. I think that I think they lose control of their original narrative, and then they pivot and they figure a new way because they've got the means, the money, the influence to change the direction on us. So they change the game in the middle of the game, so to speak.
Okay.
And we don't have the ability to we don't know they're doing that until we're already going in a new direction. Yeah.
Okay, so we got Saint Struggler. First time I'm seeing you over here. Welcome to the upper room, big dog. Struggler the Muggler. All right, that's your name from now on. They can sell intelligence. Isn't that the language they use? I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Yes, they do. They try to sell it as intelligence. They try to make you feel like you're knowledgeable. They try to make you feel like you know what you're talking about, when in actuality, behind the scenes, they're doing the absolute complete opposite. But they're selling you one thing. They're selling you knowledge. They're selling you to believe that you know what's happening in the world with everything. I mean, it could be everything and anything. And you fight. I mean, how many people are always like, no, you know what I mean? And they're actually doing something different. That they're selling you intelligence when really you're clueless. Yeah, I understand them.
The old bait and switch, the old switcheroo.
Yeah, exactly.
So Andreas here has a hot take over here. Communism was designed to exploit. Designed to exploit.
Yes, in a way, yes. It was designed. I mean, China is a communist country, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're doing okay.
They still around. Shane says, go find your own fishing hole. I think we as people, the mind in itself can make a heaven hell.
Or he was trying to drag us into a religious debate. I'm not doing it. We already found out purgatory is shit. No, we ain't doing it.
Jorge is over here. Jorge, welcome, man. How's it, Pete? And hey, Matty D. Nice to put a face on the name. Oh, hey, is this your first time? Welcome to the party, pal.
Hey, does the face match the name? I'm curious to know, George. Does the face match the name? I mean, because somebody was saying something about king's jobs were to keep the invaders out and stuff, and I was sitting here thinking they didn't do a very good job with Matty's ancestors. I was thinking like that. So, but Matty, love you, man. But you're a troll, so I got to troll you back. I got to show you the mastery of troll, brother.
I think this is penance, Matty. I think. So right, we got a special guest in the chat. Hey, Recon One Outdoors, dude. Freaking love your videos, man. This guy, gentlemen. If you
this is the guy with the guns, right? The guy with the guns and stuff. Right? Yeah. I've seen one or two of his videos. Yeah.
I think Recon One. Very awesome. High production. I wish he could I wish I could hire you to do a video edits for my Tinder profile. You know, I'm struggling out there. I need good. Yeah, Milo.
Why do you use video on your Tinder profile?
Just to get the edge, you know, to get the edge. I'm competing against millionaires and billionaires. Huh?
You wonder why he's single, right?
Hey, it's freaking pandemonium out there, gentlemen. It's pandemonium out there, gentlemen. You got to take all the edge you can get. Yeah. So Andreas says, yeah, Karl Marx was a rich Nepo baby who spent his whole life in university and never set foot in a factory. Now,
and that's fact. And that's fact. But yet he wrote the book that countries even go by, Marxism and stuff. I mean,
struggling with it right now.
Yeah. I have a friend who swears by Marxism, loves it, thinks it's the best thing going. What do you say, Matty, to Marxism? I'm curious to know your input on that.
The less, the better. If I say what I really feel, then this channel will be cancelled.
Really? So you're not for it in any way, shape, or form?
Not at all.
Gotta get rid of it. In my opinion, too. Oof. We've seen too much murky stuff happen over the past 100 years, based on that ideology. We are still suffering the consequences of it. It's seeped into our pop culture. It's seeped into our workplace. Seeped into our relationships. It's a premise that cannot be sustained too much, in my opinion, moving forward. But let's get back to this last one quickly. We are nearly an hour in. I don't want to go too long. It is a school night, but we'll see how you guys feel.
How many people you think here are going to school, bro? How many people over there do you think are going to school? Now they might have work, but come on. You're talking about Romans this and freaking Karl Marx is that. These people are not going to school. They've been to school. They've been to school. They're out of school.
I don't know. Some of them might want to go till the land at 6 a.m. in the morning. I don't know who works for a monarchy over here. You never know. You never know who's in the chat. So, gentlemen, I want to add this. This is the point where I think he sort of breaks down his sort of Christian vision as an ideology. I'm curious to see what you guys think about this. Let's go with this.
Important for the nation.
And so, you're not a Christian nationalist, cultural nationalist. So describe to me the America that you want. What does it look like? What are the...
You mean by tomorrow?
Well,
let's say I was king tomorrow.
Well,
America has no
very
king,
keen
buddy.
on this idea, which I'm sure you're excited about. What I mean is, ultimately, you want to transform America into something that it used to be, or that you'd like it to be, or whatever. Let's not argue about that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's just say you want America to be a certain way. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. What does it look like once you've got to that destination? Once you've got to that perfect America, which represents your values as someone who's really interested in Christianity being the dominant force in society. What can you do? What you can? How is it different from what we have to do?
So while I would say that there's this is a bit of like hypothetical utopianism,
of course,
as long as you're granting me that this is a bit of hypothetical utopianism. So there, let's say I was King Wilson tomorrow. I'm King Andrew Wilson, and my decrees and edicts go out to all of the land. First thing, mass migration, that's gone immediately. Next thing is focusing on domestic birth rates and domestic birth policies and trying to move America back to a one-income family.
Interesting.
The best way to do that is to prioritize from the government level down that women do not defer their childbearing years for college, right? But rather you offer massive incentives to families for them to get married younger, right? Stay at home, have babies with their husband.
Interesting.
And if you contract them from the workforce, wages are going to necessarily skyrocket. The second you begin contracting women from the workforce, wages are going to shoot through the roof, especially if you're not filling those roles with migrants.
What are we thinking so far? What are we thinking so far?
I think he's completely full of shit. He's completely and totally full of shit.
Yeah?
100% full of shit. Yeah, he full of shit. There's absolutely nothing in there that he said that will make wages skyrocket or anything like that. Nothing. Yeah? And and as far as the migrant workers that he's talking about taking to work, let me tell you something about that. And I am American, just for the record. So I spent 45 of my years. I live in Romania now, but I did spend 45 of my working years there. So I'm very familiar with it. And it's like this. The migrants do not take the working jobs. They do not. They never have. They never will. They take the jobs that the Americans will not do. Why will they not do them? Because it's below them. They feel it's below them. It's not enough money for them. It's too hard work. Take your choice. Take your choice. But that's the jobs that the migrants do. And if you're talking about the immigrants that come legally and do things the right way, well, those are the educated ones that are getting visas specifically for the education, and they're getting granted citizenships for. So what he's saying is complete nonsense. It's just complete misogyny. It's misogyny at its finest, and put into a delicate spin.
Well, just to play devil's advocate for a second, yeah, he's trying to incentivize family creation.
Yeah,
would that be a negative to a society?
Pete, if you have a family, right? If you have a family now, let's take it from now, like he said. Let me use his words. If tomorrow I could decree to the land, okay, if tomorrow you could decree to the land and you wanted to do this and you wanted to do that, how would you first be able to get that there? A man cannot take care of a family of 1 or 2 right now on his own. How would he have more kids? How could his wife stop working? How could they have a family of 3 or 4? How could they take care of them? Who's going to supplement them? The wages are not going to go up as he says. They're not. But you're going to go ahead.
I was going to say, I think he might answer 1 or 2 of those questions.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, well, let's actually let it play out and see. Yeah, let's let it play out.
Very first policies that I would put in place. I'd ban porn. I'd ban gay marriage. I'd put in some kinds of laws which had dominion over the airwaves when it came to degeneracy, right? Meaning, I don't think you should turn on Fox or Channel 32 and see naked women. I don't think that that's good for the public. I don't think it's particularly useful. I would probably outlaw smartphones. Put age restrictions on smartphones. Probably till you were like 18 years old. There would be some pretty restrictive things that I would put in place, but it would also maximize human ethical flourishing, right? The idea here is why do kids need to be looking at smartphones and training their brain towards smartphones? It's been terrible for them.
We just did an episode on it. Well, several actually. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And is it important?
Okay, he's about halfway, but we're just going to answer that question.
I got my own point. Me and you could go back and forth all day. Let's hear from Matty or Milo.
Yeah.
Man, I don't agree with the guy. Let me just put it that way. I don't agree with the guy at all. And I think his thing about banning porn and all that other stuff, mind your own fucking business. You're talking about bringing in the communism shit, man. You ain't talking you ain't talking about building a better world, man. You're talking about building a world in your fucking lane, period. End of story. And you're wrong. You're wrong with half of what you're saying. With that, Milo, Matty, I'm sorry. I'll shut up.
Yeah, any takes there, gentlemen?
Milo?
To be honest, I think he has a point to be made there in everything he said. For example, he is talking about America, right? So in America, how much do you get off of work when you have a baby as a woman?
Maternity.
None. Zero. None. Zero. You don't have any time. They might give you 1 or 2 weeks if you have a good company that's with you.
Okay.
If you're with a good company.
Already in these days, in a family, you need 2 incomes. So you can be able to pay your utilities, your rent, and to have something in your belly, right? And to feed your children. So that's one of the big issues, in my opinion, why people stop making babies, because it's financial, it's impossible, or very hard. But if you take in consideration how things are going in Europe, for example, if a woman has a child, she gets 2 years off. Here in Germany, for example, you can get 2 years off of work, you get a certain amount of money expended in those 2 years. Now, you can choose to have only 1 year off and take the whole amount of money compressed into 1 year. So you're not getting 1,000 euros a month, you get 2,000 euros a month because you decreased your time.
Okay.
So that helps the family start But for example, like it's in America, you have a baby today and you have to go to work tomorrow. You need a nanny. You need somebody to look out for that baby. Yeah. So immediately, that's expenses that you already cannot afford.
Okay, but here's the thing. But what's the benefit? I don't understand where you're getting at with the benefit. Okay, so that helps the family grow, Milo. That helps the family grow. But where does that help America grow? Where does that help the American economy? Where does that help the people?
It helps. It helps because
how?
if you have one child per family, right?
Okay. Yeah.
20 years from now, you're gonna have one worker that's gonna produce for the state, right?
One from your family, but you'll have plenty of people that come over from all. This guy, I'm talking about this guy in particular, right? He says he's not talking national Christian policies. He's absolutely 100% is talking that. He wants it to be the national Christian America, period. He's talking about that, to be American. To be fair,
that was the question. To be fair, the guys asked him, if you had, benevolent power, what kind of Christian America would you want? So
exactly,
fair, he was asked that.
Exactly, and then he tried to say, he spin it. I think he said back there, it's not really national Christian. Not Christian. He's actually saying it's not really that. It's this, and this. But everything he's saying is that he's not allowing for the fact that there's 7 billion people out there. Out of those 7 billion people in the world, man, they can easily, for your family, you might only have that one worker. For your family, you might only have that 1 or 2 people, right? But they're going to live a decent life. And what's wrong with the other 7 billion people coming in legally, right? Properly. We're not getting into legal debate and all that legal immigrant shit. We're not getting into all that. I'm talking about coming in there. For instance, Microsoft, Bill Gates, he took a lot of Romanians to build his company. He took this and that. He couldn't have done that with some of the intelligence that's happening. Nowhere in here is he talking about the schooling and the education. Nowhere in here is he talking about making them smarter. We're talking about taking the best of the best of the best around the world to help grow a country. Nowhere, just because you have 3 or 4 family members doesn't make the country better. It doesn't do it. I don't agree with him. It just, you have 3 or 4 more mouths to feed. You have 3 or 4 more people that might turn, like me. They might be like me and not do nothing.
They might turn out to be a guest on the upper room.
They might be.
What? Oh, the
horror. You might have a chance of one being a genius and changing everything, right?
You could have an Einstein.
Man, I'm just trying to say that there's plenty of people, smart people around the world. You don't need them all to be Americans and be your family. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm saying the guy is way off base. He wants to close the borders. He wants to do this. He wants only Americans to build America.
That's not a bad thing.
Man, it's not a bad thing. And if you go back to the America of the 1950s and the 1950s and 60s, right? It was a good way of being, right? They had a good life. There was one family, one income family. They had vacations. They had their time. I would be all for going back to that kind of a build. I really would. But during that time, they were also allowing immigrants in, taking jobs, building things that allowed the technology and allowed the things to go. It wasn't just about having kids. China shot itself in the foot by having the 1-kid policy, right? They're going to go, they have problems come 1930, 1935 because their youth and everything, right? For this problem, they've changed that. Well, it's also, there's the 2 extremes. You also have the other problem that's going to happen if you do like this man says and allow families to have 3 and 4 kids. You're going to have an overblown population that you just can't take care of. It's the same extreme.
I think maybe that's based on a zero-sum game. In the zero-sum, meaning that there's some sort of limited resource globally, at a humanity scale. But my thing is that we are a productive species, and we've somehow managed to in the past 400 years live longer, twice as long. We are healthier. We have less, generally speaking, I'm talking about species level. So we are not short of innovation. I mean, we just...
You're never going to live past 120.
Do a couple of butt chicks around the moon. But anyway, let's get into some comments here, because there's a lot of vibrancy over here. So Andreas Salazar says, I am a teacher going to start maternity position soon. So I'm going to school next month. All right. Okay. Well,
you know,
good luck with that. Please study.
See, that is why you need to have parental leave. So I think Andrew is completely right with most of his points.
So Melissa Heartland. Okay, first time I'm seeing you here too. Welcome. Parents driving kids to school. I'm not sure what you mean there, but I got you.
Matty, you think he's right, but why do you think he's right? I mean, you can't just say I think he's right and just have nothing to say about it. Why is he right?
Well, okay, so I think that that if you have, you say, husband and wife working at the same company, the wife leaves. Okay, she goes and needs to make. She decides to leave and she wants a family, so she goes and gets pregnant, and now she can't work. Okay, now the guy, he has to either increase his income or leave and move to a company that can pay his salary so that he can earn what he needs.
Okay, but the guys that pay don't want to increase income, and he doesn't have the proper education. But this lady is still here having babies. Okay, let's go. How does he do that?
Then it depends. It also depends on your cost of living and your choice on how you want to live. Remember, Joey, in the US, you used to have start homes that was very affordable. You could maybe move into a starter home, so and sell your cars that's overpriced and pay off all your debts that you have, and ensure that you are living above board instead of over leveraged. So that is one way, and then after that, you make sure that, okay, so my wife wants to start a family. She won't be able to work for a year, 2, 3 years, even maybe. So you okay? So you have to go and live in an area or work for a company that is able to pay your salary. And if that's not possible, then you are forced to be productive. You have to start your own business so that you can afford to take care of the family. So it's a knock-on effect that affects everyone. So yeah.
Everything you just said can happen right now and is the way it is right now, man. Everything you just said. The only difference is that the wife has some maternity leave and can be home with her kid a little bit. Everything else you said is the way it is right now, and it gets nowhere.
Yeah,
it gets nowhere. It gets nowhere.
Well, would you say a rising tide raises all boats? Is that sort of the underlying philosophy you're going for here? You know, if everyone's given an equal chance, they will find their level, they will figure out. But as long as they're not being sort of restricted from pursuing,
there's no restrictions though, Pete. There's no restrictions right now. If you've got money, if you've got an idea, if you've got a talent, if you've got the ability, if you've got the motivation, you can do it right now yourself. You can do it in almost every country, except for maybe South Korea or North Korea. If you've got all these abilities already, if you've already got these abilities, then you're not someone here worried about it, are you? Because you're somebody who's going to do okay in life. But what about the rest of the people in the world?
Well, then you look at your ethics and your purpose. Remember, Andrew and myself, we have this idea that we have to be fruitful and what's the word? Multiply. Yeah, there you go. Yes, thank you. So that means having a family, starting a family, teaching your kids values. So that's also a very important part that I think a lot of atheists will miss or not understand. So that's why he says stop porn, stop OnlyFans, stop all this stuff. It is to protect the youth from becoming addicted and having their moral compass skewed the wrong way. So
the moral compass skewed.
Yeah, steering the general, just to sort of echo what you're saying, Matt. Yeah, steering the general populace towards a more Christian moral.
Yes, and what I'm trying to say is that's not a good way necessarily. What I'm trying to say is that is not a way. That is not a way to promote the best life for everybody. That is the best life. That is the best way to promote life for a sector of people. That is the best way to promote life. If you want to divide the entire world and make Canada responsible for Canada, America responsible for America, Africa responsible for Africa, that is the kind of life for that. And you each have your own kind of living life the way you want in whatever country you have. It is not a world. It is not a global way of life. What you're talking about, it's just not. It's just not. It can't be.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't really want to live like people in Canada, to be honest with you. I'd rather...
Why not? They live. Why not? You're always bitching about the South African shit, and the Canada people got it pretty fucking good over there, dude. Ask Shane. Ask anybody. They got it pretty good. Why would you not want to live like that?
Canada's catching strays over here. God
Man.
damn.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Guys, let me get through some of these chats here.
Well, Chantaloo, I know Africa is not a country. I was kind of throwing all the countries. If you want me to break them down, I can. Zimbabwe and fucking I can break them all down. Not all of them, but I know about probably 10 or 15 of them anyway. I know that, but let me say continent.
There you go, Matt. I don't know. Were you done there? I want to get to some of these comments that they're piling up over here. Go ahead, man.
Okay, yeah, I think we can move on to the comments.
You make a good point there. So, Chantalou says, Karl Marx's brother-in-law was a founder of Juta in Cape Town, the textbook printer. Oh, really? I had no freaking idea. You remember in high school or junior school, you used to buy those Juta books for the geography, math. Yeah, Juta is a publisher for textbooks. Oh, Karl Marx's brother-in-law did that. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. Trivia. Here at the upper room, you learn some stuff. We got smart people in the comments and in the panel, gentlemen, and in the panel. Recon over here says, I'll edit you into the final boss of romance, brother. Damn, I'm going to take you up on that, brother. By the time we are done with your Tinder profile won't swipe, it will summon. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I need. That's what I need. You know, what we call a force equalizer. All right. So Salazar says, Andreas Salazar. I'm gonna call you Salazar for some reason. What about the HBI visa scam as shown by Nick Shirley, where many of the people from India make up the university and have no education and cannot speak English, taking IT jobs from many willing Americans?
Yeah, you'd have to show me that, Andrea. You'd have to show me the sources and the proof of that, number one. Number two, I'm going to say, even if they don't speak English, fuck them. If they can do the job better than Americans, then that's on the Americans. That's not on the system. That's not on the educate. That's not on anything other than the system and the way to, for instance, Trump gutted the education system in America. You know, that's because of shit like that. Because of stuff like that. You would have to show me the sources on that, Andrea. I can't take any Jay Wilson or whatever his name, anything like that. Shirley.
Well, Nick Shirley. I think he's
Nick
on.
Shirley.
Got a big upcoming young independent journalist. But
yeah, I'd have to see the sources on that to really see that to even make a comment about that. To be honest,
let me ask you this, Joey. In terms of like just generally, isn't it incumbent upon the elected officials, you know, the Senate and all of to protect the interests of American citizens?
It is, and they are failing at their job. Yes, and they are failing 100%.
Then wouldn't it be incumbent upon the system to then fix the failure, or as opposed to trying to?
Yes, it would.
Okay, we're going to replace the citizenry with an external group of people. Wouldn't that be antithetical to?
Every education system is trash, Andrea. Every education system is trash the way it's set up right now, for the most part. You know, the thing is, yes, it is incumbent on the senators and the congressmen and stuff, and it's a failing. And yes, the system should fix that. The problem in America in particular is the Constitution. You know, in order to make these kind of changes, you know, a Constitution that was written, which I happen to stand by in many ways, but I also think there's plenty of of amendments that should be made to that concept. For instance, I think it should be a popular vote, not by this electoral college. I think that popular vote thing will get the right people in presidency that will make the right changes to what you're discussing about making the changes to the senates, to the governments, because I think the popular vote would be a landslide in America, because there's far more of these than there are those, and then they can make those changes to the Constitution, but they cannot. And because of this electoral college and an antiquated system, you know what I mean? They can't make these changes. But you are 100% correct. That is where it needs to happen. They need to get rid of these term limits. They need to get rid of the congressmen and senators and stuff being able to do 6, 7, 8, 9 friggin' terms in a row. No, there have to be term limits, 2 terms, 3 terms, whatever. Presidents have to be this. I mean, there's a huge change needs in America. A huge change.
Yeah, I think we should start by repealing the 19th. I think that is where we start. Repealing the 19th Amendment.
The 19th. Tell me of the 19th Amendment, my brother.
So isn't that the one where we allow women to vote?
that we allow women to vote?
Yeah, I think that one.
Oh boy! Oh, that just made you a lot of fans, didn't it? Well, believe me, that's what Trump is trying to do right now. He's trying to without actually repealing it. He's making it different. Yeah. For instance, if you can't, he's trying to make it so that you can't go vote in America if your name is anything different than what's on your birth certificate. And many women, of course, as you know, when you get married to a man, your name is changed to the man's name, Ashai. So now in order to vote, you have to go get birth certificates and proof of who you are, no more just your ID. He's trying to do exactly what you're saying, Matty D. He's trying to do exactly what you're saying in a roundabout circumstance.
Yeah. All right. So I want to get into the comments.
We need that. We need more of that.
So Nomad says the problem is
also I'm Catholic over here. I'm like Jesus Christ in myself. I'm fucking Holy Mary. I'm fucking all of a sudden religious. Jesus.
I got you. Hail Marys and a Beatles song. You're gonna be right. So the problem is, since households have 2 working people, prices have also skyrocketed to absorb the dual income households. Okay, these go economics over the way. Nomad. Charmaine says, well, humanity might not stand together, but with the energy sabotage going on around the world in the past week, we sure will all walk together very soon.
Man, it's sad to say, I agree with her 100%, man. I agree with her 100% on that one. We are in a world of shit right now.
Andres also says, in Hungary, if a woman has 4 kids, she no longer has to pay taxes. Oh, yeah, talk about an incentive.
No, that's no incentive, man. 4 mouths to feed. You just ate up all your taxes plus a few others.
But then you're not going to be taxed what 40% over here, 30%.
Okay, but think of how expensive it is to raise 4 kids, man. What would you rather lose, 30-40% of your tax, or raise 4 kids and have 4 mouths to feed, clothes to do, books to buy, and vacations to pay for? I mean, where do you think is the cheaper end of it all? I mean, it's a good incentive. It's better than nothing, right? But 4, they could have made that 2 or 3. Then we would have been talking.
Maybe. Okay, maybe we could. Maybe there's a numbers algorithm.
There's a medium. There's a medium in there.
Recon One says, just society bans that stuff on their own. You choose to exclude the stuff from your life. That last thing I need. That last thing I need is a mommy government. The last thing I need is a last mommy government. I tend to agree with Recon One over here. I don't like the idea of some some political science degree having someone in some office determining what my life should be like. I don't like the idea of I call them pencil pushers, dictating people's lives. But yeah, I agree with you Chantal.
Yeah, Chantal. I was reading this too. I was reading the one, the bottom one she wrote. She put in there. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, we're going to get to that one. The family unit has been broken on purpose for nefarious schemes of global elite. Pill and the free love porn, toxic masculinity. We're going to be talking about in a future topic toxic masculinity? What is it? Is it a thing? How do we counter it? Being thrown around, propaganda in education, trans, divorce, all of this stuff. And we speak about it, Chantal. It's also being pop culture. We see it in our movies. We see it in some sort of...
Does it say anywhere in the Bible that porn is not allowed? Or is that something that's just they decided they don't like because it's
because in the Bible, but it's not referenced as porn.
No, but it's in there. What does it say?
Do not go and fuck around everywhere with everybody.
It says do not smite do not take your neighbor's wife and stuff is what it says. It says, this kind of stuff, but it doesn't say that you can't just go fool around. It doesn't say anything you can't watch it. It doesn't say anything like this stuff.
It does. It does say do not overdo it. It does say do not overdo it.
Okay, do not overdo it. Limit it to 2 or 3 times a week. Don't ban it.
Fair enough. China's population is also not 1 billion. Okay. Long story short, a lot of fraud involved by the government, doctors, and school boards that higher ups did not know. Okay, well, there's a lot of stats coming out of China that's dubious, including the economic stuff. I don't know, man. Oof, pinch of salt with this.
I like Chinese food.
That's
I'm
great.
just throwing that out there. Chinese buffets and stuff. They're awesome, man. They're awesome. Man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do not covet. That's the one, Chantalou. But Chantalou said, Joey, you have to change. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're still not there yet.
No.
You were slow, bro. You were slow.
I'm trying to
I'm
get.
dying to get to that one.
I got 4 more chats to just get through real quick. We're gonna get to the Chantal one now because all of these things would promote a better lives. Oh, because all of those things would promote better lives. So it's a banning of the Okay, I see you. See what camp you're on.
Better lives on what? See, this is the thing that kills me when people say equal better lives. Better lives to who? To you? To you? A better life to you? Maybe not a better life to him. Maybe not a better life to her. Maybe not a better life. Not in general either. You can't say that. No one can say that. No one can say that. This is the part that's bothering me about the Christian nationals, is that they are trying to put demand. They are trying to force this belief on saying it's better. They're 10 million or 20 million or 100 million people, or let's say 1 billion people. Let's say their 1 billion congregation is trying to say the other 6 billion people would have a better life if you agree with us. That's fucking force, dude. That's not, it's not even true. It's not true. It's not real. It's without sustenance. It's just not true. It's your belief, your thought, your way of believing. It doesn't necessarily make it true. I believe that I'm good. That doesn't make it true.
Hang on, Joey.
Yeah,
he was advocating for.
I'm hanging on. I'm fucking hanging on over here. I'm fucking hanging, dude. I'm hanging.
We're having a discussion, big dog. All right, so Christian nationalist movements in the U.S. are a very particular thing. Okay, I think I get what you're saying. That there's
Chantalou is all the way to fuck up at the top. Did you get to her yet or what, man?
Hang on a second, champion. We got it. Okay, I tell you what. Let's get to it. Hang on a second. Where were you? Were you talking about the American comment? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's the one. Thank you very much for putting it up. Joe, you have to change all that to open a bank account and a married name. Either do all sorts of other things. So those women should have their ID sorted anyhow, which is not the case. What do you mean? Chantalou, I do not understand what you mean. They should have that sorted. They do have it sorted. They have gone through it all. They have done that to change their bank accounts. They have taken their birth certificates. They have done this, and they have opened their bank accounts. They have gotten their driver's license. They have changed their bills. They have done all of that. They have changed their certificates from the PhDs or whatever they've done. They've done this. But why do they need to take their birth certificates and all that other stuff and change their ID? The birth certificate is not good. It has to match when they take that. This is what Trump is trying to do right now over in America. To go vote, your ID has got to match your name. You cannot just take a birth certificate. No, that's not considered just ID, because now you got to bring your driver's license or your social security number, which is in a different name. So, no. All that stuff sorted. That doesn't fly, Chantalou. That doesn't fly. That doesn't fly, what you're saying right there.
So I got something from Andreas here. He puts forward. He says,
and I like you, Chantalou, because you always say hello to me and everywhere we go. So hello. I like you said, don't take it seriously.
He says, Pete, get Stefan Zede to debate Joey. Debate of the century. That's actually will be an interesting conversation.
Who's Stefan Zede?
Stefan Zede, I think. I don't know how would I describe Stefan Zede? I think he would be also sort of the Christian Christian nationalist. I don't want to misrepresent him, but he would be.
Is he a podcast? Is he a podcaster or something? Is he?
Yeah, he's got a show. Actually, I'll update the description below and link his channel. I subscribe to him every morning. He has some interesting things to say. Gentlemen, we are hitting an hour and a half. All right.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great? I don't think you can do 2.5. I don't think you got it in you.
I can, but it's a school night, like I said. You know, there's only so much Marxism we can talk about on a fucking Tuesday night, gentlemen.
Yeah, I know. Maddie's got to go to bed. Look at him. He's falling asleep over there. Look at him. Holding that wire looks like his fingers are getting tired. Do you see it? It's slipping. It's starting to slip. It's starting to do like that. I see it. Maddie, love you, man. Love you, brah.
So, she said it's not a country.
Yeah, African's not a country. She called me stupid, basically. She should have just come out and said, Joe, you're stupid.
No light detected there. So.
She's right, though. She's right. I can't argue. She's right.
All right, gentlemen. So let's finish the last part of this particular segment, and then we'll start to land the plane. All right.
To use that outcome as a I agree with you on that. And
forum.
No, we just did recorded an episode on it. Well, several actually. So I agree with you on that. And is it important to use that outcome is arrived at democratically? That like you persuade half the country that this is the way to be?
So ultimately, the views of what's best for the nation, that's what's going to be first and foremost in my brain, right? Yes, the religious aspect, it's always going to be God first, but from like the things that I can do something about, it's going to be from the national level. The nation that we have is a checks and balance based republic. So obviously I'm going to work within the confines of that in order to make as many compelling and convincing arguments and as many compelling and convincing things I can possibly do to move people towards this view. But remember, the problem with democracy, the big hole in it, is you can democratically remove it. So you can vote out democracy. It's built in right into democracy to be able to do that.
There's an interesting point you made
there. The most American thing you can do is to remove amendments and put in new amendments. We do it all the time, right?
And is that what you'd prefer? You don't want America to be a direct democracy?
No.
What would you like it to be?
I would like it to be what it used to be at the beginning, which is a stakeholder democracy at the very least.
What does that mean?
It means you're either going to have like one household voting, right?
So
that we're not dividing husbands and wives because that's really stupid. Or it means that you're going to have some kind of stake in property or perhaps 4 years of unpaid public service before you can vote. There has to be some skin in the game.
Skin in the game.
In other words, I'd also raise the voting age probably to 25, right? I think.
Would women be allowed to vote?
I mean, to at least the degree that men are, but I don't want men to vote for the most part either.
This guy's a joke, Joe. This guy's a joke.
It would be equal between men and women in your view. Really? It doesn't sound like it. If you want household, well, what I mean is, it sort of sounds like. Well, forgive me if I'm misunderstanding this. Genuinely, you'd like people to get married and to vote as a household, which I imagine would kind of mean that the head of the family, which is the husband, would tend to decide that. And if a woman isn't married, presumably she wouldn't be getting a vote partly for that reason. Yeah. Is that fair?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, what's wrong with that system? Sounds great.
I'm just interested in explaining. Well, it sounds great to you. I'm just interested in...
The thing is like, it's really hard. It's really difficult. When people think of things like, what's the argument against this? This is an immutable character. How could you argue that women shouldn't be able to vote or that men shouldn't be able to vote? It's like, well, at our founding, they couldn't. Women could not vote.
Well, at your founding, as you said yourself, you had slavery, right? So things do change over time.
Sure, but the thing is like...
Sometimes in a good direction.
Sure, it's sometimes in a bad direction.
Oh, absolutely.
So the thing is like, the idea that they had there was that most men couldn't vote. There was no universal suffrage for men, including slaves, right? For the most part, were men. And women couldn't vote, because most people weren't allowed to vote. Now, the arguments against women voting are pretty simple. And the idea is landholdership and force. right? Can women utilize force in order to maintain land? The answer is no. Generally, that takes men. So the biggest, if you're looking at feminism, for instance,
this is the
you
force.
had the anti-suffragettes and then the suffragettes. But the anti-suffragettes arguments were way better. The argument was pretty simple. It just worked like this. You cannot erode or get rid of the patriarchy because you always have to appeal to it for your rights. And that's a fundamental truth.
Yeah.
And since that's a fundamental truth, I've never seen a great reason why women should be able to vote. Because they can vote to send men to war that they themselves do not have to go fight. They are not beholden to the draft.
Whoa, right there. Fucking there's plenty of women in the military fighting.
The draft.
I mean, he's just talking bullshit. He's just talking nonsense, this guy. He's just like writing you to death. Right. I mean, everything he's saying is nonsense. What, women can vote, but they can't go to war and fight? There's plenty of women go to war. There's plenty of women fly planes.
He's talking about the draft.
They can go to war, but they aren't drafted.
Man, they're volunteers. We don't have a draft in America. They're volunteers. They haven't had a draft in America since Vietnam War, and even that, I'm not even 100% sure that was, for that long. So it's one of these things. It's all volunteers. So why? What, you're going to tell me that they can't volunteer, fight for their country, and vote too? What the fuck is this? And what the fuck is age 25? What? Since when is 25 years old? You mean to tell me you don't work at 18 years old and pay your taxes? You don't have a say in your taxes, where your taxes go, or where your shit should be spent? What kind of nonsense is this guy even talking? I mean, he's full of himself, and he's a great debater, a great talker. If you're a Christian nationalist, period. End of story. End of story.
What are you going to say there, Matt?
Okay, so your brain only stops, I think, developing at the age of 25. So at the age of 25, you actually have a better understanding of how the world works. So I agree with that.
Dude, you can go to war at 18, right? You think so? We shouldn't send anybody to war under 25 then, right?
Yeah.
You have to agree with it. You cannot not disagree with that. If your brain is not developed yet, you cannot send them to war because they are not intelligent enough. They are not formed enough to go in there and fire a rifle and kill somebody. You have got to. There's no other. You can't have both ways, brother. You can't have it. So nobody under 25 can go fight. Nobody under 25 can go fight now. Nobody under 25 can go drink. Nobody under 25 can go now drive a car because they don't know how to function a car properly because it's too much chaos.
Give Matty a chance here. What do you ever say, Matty?
Overall, I think Andrew Wilson is absolutely 100% correct. I see no issues with anything that he said. I'm loving that Joey is so pissed off.
I'm not pissed off, man. You know what pisses me off, Matty? You know what pisses me off, honest to God, is that there's actually people that sit here and listen to this garbage, and it is garbage. It is 100% garbage. And I know I'm in the wrong format right now with the wrong people over in the chat, and I know I'm the one guy sitting here that's in the thing here. But this is absolute garbage what he's saying, completely and totally. And the only reason why people think he's a good debater is because he sits there and he double takes everything. And sure, and anything you say to him, he'll just turn it and reverse it because everything has a reverse on it. Oh, sure, it could be good, but it's also can be bad. And then he'll spin his bullshit bad on it, and then it'll be like right. And that's all it is. There's no sustenance to it. There's no fact to it. Anyway.
Okay. Let me just ask you this one thing, Joey. When voting for your president or whoever, do you vote? Should you be emotional when voting, or should you be holistic? Should you have that wider view, the bird's eye view of what policies are in place and all that kind of thing?
Well, first of all,
the reason why I'm asking that is because women are emotional voters. They vote for the woman and all that. I don't know why we even want a female president. That's just stupid. So yeah.
So basically, you're a woman hater then.
No,
you're a woman hater then. A woman should sit home, make babies, and not work, not do anything, not vote, not do anything. She should just take care of you, take care of the kids, take care of the house, because she shouldn't have anything. Bottom line, right? Because she can't go to the army, she can't do anything. She votes emotionally. What can a woman do then? Correct me.
No, Jay, my opinion is that the woman should have the choice to work or not. That's my middle ground between Andrew Wilson and my opinion. I think you need a middle ground. I think women should have that the choice to either want to work or not. I think that is where I don't see eye to eye with Andrew Wilson. And also, Andrew Wilson doesn't accept criticism well. He is pretty prideful in his faith. So that is just the issue that I have with them. So I will never 100% agree with him in most aspects, but I think when it comes to voting, I think he's 100% correct.
All right. Okay.
Andrea, let me just give a prop to Andrea. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Yes, I do try to explain myself. I do not claim to ever be 100% right. I don't. But I do, and I will hang out. Yes, I will give Joey this. At least you explain yourself and actually hang out with people with different beliefs, unlike almost all left-leaning people I have met in my life. I am left-leaning. I am absolutely left-leaning, but I also understand. I also understand the right. I do understand them, and I do understand, some of the things they want. I truly do, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong. My problem with it is the methodology. The methodology is of how you do it, of how these things are implemented. And what this guy is saying in particular, we're talking about tonight in particular, with what this guy is saying, if he could decree tomorrow, this is how it would be, is definitely a wrong way. So, and this is my opinion.
Yeah. Andreas, thanks for that, man. Appreciate it. Well, one of the things I appreciate about Joey and Milo, and to a level, Matt, is that we are able to have this kind of chop it up banter, and we express ourselves and our opinions. And Andreas, you should go to the It's Not Okay TV, subscribe over there. These dudes have a really cool channel, man.
Thank you.
You guys had a really good show today, by the way. I was enjoying it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So who else is it? I saw someone in the comments over here.
More Croc show.
The more Croc show. Champion, how's it? Welcome. Yeah. We just were chopping up some of Andrew Wilson's views over here. We didn't get to the forced doctrine part, but I think this might warrant a second part further down the line. It's all right. It's fun. Okay. Yeah. All right. You can jump on the next one, Mork. What do you reckon? Pull in. Let's see what you have to say. So, gentlemen, it's landing plane time. It's 20 minutes in. So let's play the last of this. It's like another 2 minutes, and then we'll close it off and see where we're going. Right?
Perhaps because you're too old for it, but you were beholden to the draft when you were not too old for it, so your time could have come.
We're at a strange moment where people are pouring their most private thoughts into.
Oh boy. Okay. I think we are actually at the arse end of it.
Other way around and say women are able to vote. Men are able to vote on things that affect women that don't affect men.
Like?
Yeah, this is a lengthy conversation. I think you can see the segment here is quite long. I'm going to leave it there, gentlemen. I think they're not going to say too much more than what Matt said now, but I encourage everyone to go listen to this discussion. Whether you're on the one side or the other, it is an actually earnest conversation about what you may consider controversial, but it is lathered up with logic and reason, so you can pick the bones and throw away the meat, or the vice versa.
The problem I have is I would love to do a show like this with everybody, to get into a right and a left kind of situation. I really would, to do a panel show with this. Like Mork saying, it's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. I think absolutely. I think he's more like a lamb. I think he's absolutely the opposite. I think he's absolutely the opposite of a goat, this guy that we just saw today. I would love to have a panel where there were 2 or 3 of each side doing something like this. The problem with all of that is that, there's South African politics, and then there's the American politics, and then there's the European politics, and all the politics, while in general essence have the same feel to them, the players are different. The players are different, and the rules are a little different. So it's a little it's a little unfair for one to be saying one thing and the other to be saying another thing, because the South Africa is different than America. It's got its points.
Here's what I would say to that. You're right to a level when you get into the minutia of the actual politics, right? We don't know each other's laws and shit. But I think where we can have some meaningful discussion where there's middle ground is the ideology. ways of thinking. Truth matters or across the board, whether you're Romanian vampire or
He's talking to you, brother. He's talking to you,
or
brother.
a Kruan starts zombie. Gravity is still gravity on each part of the planet. The rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. So we can talk about the storm, not about your raincoat. I don't know. That should be a little.
Pete, can I just have a shout out to Shane? I think his last comments is really up there with one of the best.
What did he say? And then there's Matty, like a pit bull up Joe's bum bum. Oh, let's give it
You're
up.
a fucking traitor, Shane. You're a traitor. That's all I got to say to you, man.
I pray. That's
Why?
why did you have to go do that, brother?
Why?
All right. Okay. So, guys, gonna wind it down. Gonna wrap it up. Joey, Milo, thank you for being guests here. When is your next show again? We got a couple of people in the comments. When's your next show?
It's gonna be on Thursday. Thursday at 7:30 GMT plus 2.
Thursdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays, all at 7:30, 7:45. We do Thursdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays. On our next one on Thursday is Vinay is going to be our guest. She won our trivia, so she's going to be our guest. We're going to be talking.
Yes.
Yeah,
can't wait. Yeah. So it's Thursdays, Sundays, and Tuesdays. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Matty, what's going on with you this week? I think you and I got some coding to do to catch up on sometime this week.
Yeah, man. Yeah, coding a little bit, and then I am backing up. I'm moving on Saturday now, so
big move, huh?
Yeah, and then one of these days I will be moving overseas, so I'm excited about that.
Nice, man.
So, yeah, man.
Make sure you take it.
Moving overseas?
Yes.
Well, really? You're in South Africa now, no?
Yeah.
Where are you moving to? You moving to America?
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying yes either.
You want to be closer to Trump.
You want to be. You want to buy a red merch hat right from the streets itself. Yes.
Oh God. So you look like you have a busy week this week coming up. So yeah, man. So anyway, gentlemen, I'm gonna wind it down. Thank you guys in the comments. Last one here from More Rock Show. Everything reduces down to the fundamentals of the worldview and then ethics.
Right on, Mark. Right on there. Absolutely.
And I think this is why I think shows like this, discussion like this, is so fruitful. It's very rewarding to me, and it's just fun also having banter with grown men. We're fucking talking fundamentals about the existence of the world over here. Yeah. Anyway.
Yo, Mo.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you and have a good night. And you guys in the comments, thank you so much. One last thing. Don't take each other for granted.
Shut the door. We ain't talking polite. Got the truth.